people? It's me again. Yeah, I know it's been a little while. And you can't see me, but it's really dark and it's icy and it's freezing rain. And I'm passing vehicles on a major road doing 40 mile an hour. So I'm just taking it easy, and I figured, what better way to ease the tension than to just think out loud for a minute. So that's what I'm doing. You know, I've told a couple of people, well, more than a couple. I've told anyone that will listen about social engineering and how it works and tried to give examples, but I'm going to say 99% of the people that I talk to, their eyes glaze over. You could just see it in their face that they're thinking, oh, what tall tale am I going to hear this time? Wonder what conspiracy theories got dreamed up today. But the best way I can paint it for people, most people are too zoomed in. They're too focused on the right here, right now, close-up picture. That's really all they care about, because that's all they really have to be worried about for the most part. And a lot of that is people don't think they have the power to change anything outside of that zoomed in close-up view. But the way I think social engineering works, you really have to zoom out. You have to go to, instead of a 40-foot view or a 400-foot view, you have to zoom out to like a 40,000-foot view, or possibly even a 400,000-foot view, just to get all the dots, enough dots, that you can start connecting them. Imagine if you have a connected dot picture, and you're only focused on a little 1x1 square inch section of the paper. If that's all you try to connect, just that one little section, you're not going to know what the picture says, what it is, you're not going to have any idea. All you're going to see is a couple of interconnecting lines, and that's it. But if you zoom way out, and you get a lot longer ruler, now when you start connecting the dots, a picture starts to emerge, because now you can see the whole thing. So I guess the thing I'm trying to get to people is zoom out. Look at everything as a whole. What's going on between countries, geopolitics, economics, hell, even the weather and natural events like earthquakes and volcanoes. Zoom way out and look at how it's all interconnected. And then you start to see a picture that really comes forward for you. Like in the 70s and early 80s, we had focus groups all across the country. There was focus groups in California, San Diego, in Ohio, in Columbus, in Dayton, in all the major metropolises, all over the country. Now, these focus groups would ask, a whole list of questions, excuse me, and opinions. So they knew what the general consensus was in that area of the country. Now, if you couple that with the stuff that Edward Bernays did in the early 1900s, I guess that'd be the 20th century, so it'd be like 1910, 1920. You go back to that era, Edward Bernays taught the U.S. economy and basically everyone that you can basically hypnotize and brainwash people to do whatever you want without their knowing you're doing it. You can talk them into buying stuff in a way that makes them think it was their idea. Once you do that, you're free and clear, because they think they want it because of some reason in their head that you've planted there. without their knowing. So they were able to target news and news stories from around the country that would make certain groups in areas feel a certain way. They knew that if I show a video and a news clip of a mentally deranged person or a person with, ADHD or schizophrenia who's on medication, if I show a news clip of that person shooting up a school in Ohio, I'm going to get this result. If I show it in California, I'll get this result. And they knew that they have to tweak stories a certain way so that they carry the most emotional weight for the area that they're displaying it. Like, if you showed a news story about Amish crime in LA, no one would give a damn. But if you show a news story about Amish crime in the Midwest, namely Ohio and Indiana, you'll get a lot deeper emotional response because people are familiar with the Amish. They see them. They're in their lives. They're a part of what they're exposed to. So that story would work the best in the Midwest in states such as Ohio and Indiana. Now you keep zoomed out and you think, well, all of the news stations have been syndicated and are now owned by one of 6 corporations. And these corporations are global entities. So they're just after ratings and views, and because that's how they make their money, through commercials and things of that nature. The more views they get and the higher their viewership, the more money they get from the companies running commercials on the stations. So now they know that they can tickle the emotions of groups all across the country. So in order to jack up their viewership, they tweak all the stories and play them in targeted audience areas to best stroke the emotions of all the people and increase viewership. If you see an ad for the news, just a short snippet saying, Amish family murdered by blah, 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 news at 11, you'll get a lot more people, you'll pique a lot more interest in the area of Ohio and Indiana, that area, than you would in other areas of the country. So the news has all been targeted. So when they say, fake news, that's what it is. It's basically a story that's made up to draw you in and get the highest amount of viewership they can in your area. Now when you look at social engineering tactics, while you're watching those news clips, those whatever it is that piqued your interest, all the stuff that goes on in the background is scripted. So now when you watch it, not only are you satisfying your curiosity about the story, but they're feeding you all kinds of little social norms that they want you to think are social norms, but they might not be. They might have people in the background doing specific things just so you see that, hey, they do that and they're on TV and that must be okay. Hey, look, people there do it too. And it's to just garner a sense of social normacy for stuff that normally people wouldn't do. You introduce an idea, a concept, something in people's subconscious outside of what you've got them actively watching. So, well, I'm going to go ahead and let you go today. It's getting slick because it's freezing rain. And I'm in the middle of downtown Bellefontaine, the bustling metropolis it is. And unless I miss my guess, they're trying to save money on salt this year by not putting any down. Or if they are, they're putting very little. Like maybe 3 grains for every, I don't know, 100 square feet. So you guys have a good one, and I will talk to you later. Remember, I love you all.